on my way in to the Gow Media Studios this morning, I heard an interesting conversation on the bench featuring John Granato, Lance Zierlein, and Dell. It was about John Granato potentially being distracted by a television that is to my right. It seems to be a television channel that is just women in Mexico talking about the weather. And I gotta say, this might be the show where I have the most ADD of my life. On today, the greatest day of my life, Sean Mapes. But if the challenge was laid by the show before us that we have to leave the channel on, I will do my part.
I don't think they were worried about the videos stopping, because I think it's just like a YouTube like playlist of like best of compilations of Mexican weather women, meteorologists.
And listen, a lot of people wonder, like, what does Paul like? And I know there are times where you probably wonder a lot, because I do leave it mysterious, but I feel like we're going to know by the end of today's show what it is that Paul Gallant really likes.
I just can't wait for some of the metaphors or the, turns of phrases you use just with that running in the background the entire show.
Sí, muy caliente. Right?
Yeah.
Janet Garcia, por favor. Hey, let's shift back to talking about sports. We didn't even start talking about sports, but this is a sports talk show, you see. And I heard an interesting conversation on another show yesterday. Killer Bees, old Bear Branham, J-Bone, had himself a take online. Is Nick Caserio general manager of the Houston Texans a possible general manager / executive of the year in the NFL? Now, he just asked the question to allow for a little bit of plausible deniability. But, while I won't go that far, I'd be shocked if he's not back next year. And it did feel like as recently as a couple of weeks ago, and perhaps this is just a problem for us following the Houston Texans, where we go 1 week thinking Bobby Slowick is God, and the next week we think he is the stupidest man alive, only to go back to believing he's going to be the next great head coach in the NFL. We do overreact in the short term to things. So we might, by the end of the year, say the Texans, with the fourth easiest schedule in the NFL remaining, don't end up with a winning record or making the playoffs. We might go back to dumping on Nick Caserio, but I think he's back next year. And he's had a pretty good year. Obviously, it helps to get CJ Stroud. I do think, though, that he deserves credit after sitting through that awkward press conference that Texans ownership made him sit through so that he felt the pressure. He hired DeMeco Ryans. He had the balls to move on from Lovie Smith. That couldn't have been easy. Now, I know that they hired DeMeco Ryans, but imagine being the white man. I'm not acting like it's so difficult for a white man. I'm just saying, imagine being a white guy in 2023 who just had to fire 2 black head coaches after 1 year on the job. Probably would suck. No? Even if they're bad at the job? Because you're going to get a lot of backlash, even if it was justified, firing both of them. David Culley, not a good year. Lovie Smith, almost zero energy with this organization. But he moved on from him. He's brought in a lot of veterans over this offseason that have been pretty good. Robert Woods, Noah Brown, Shaq Mason, Sheldon Rankins, Dalton Schultz, Devin Singletary, Denzel Perriman, Shaq Griffin, George Fant. You've seen some of the young players on this team make the leap, like a Nico Collins. And this year's draft class featuring CJ Stroud, Will Anderson to a lesser extent, Tank Dell, Henry To'oTo'o, Jarrett Patterson has given you a lot of returns, specifically starting with the quarterback and the third-round wide receiver in Tank Dell. It's not to say everything's gone well for Nick Caserio, Derek Stingley. We're finally seeing him back on the field. We'll see how much of an impact he has down the stretch. Kenyon Green, Juice Scruggs. Who knows if they're ever going to contribute anything. We haven't seen the most development from some of these younger players who in year one looked really good, year one to year two. It makes sense because there's a new head coach in Jalen Petrie, Damian Pierce, Christian Harris. Not to say those guys have been bad. You were hoping, though, after what you saw from them last year, that they would take another step forward. But I think Nick Caserio is going to be back next year. And I'm curious as to how you guys feel about that. 713-780-3776 to call in and to text in. Because to this point, this has been a pretty good year. Yeah, this has to be just a YouTube compilation of hot weather ladies. Now, this one seems to be very, let's just say, dimensionally groundbreaking. Huh?
The best part, no, it's not actually.
How do you fit in that dress?
It's not the best part. The one interesting part of this is that for the rest of the show, for the listeners out there, I cannot see what's on the TV. Just the way that the TV is set up, it is facing Paul, and I am also facing Paul, and there's a wall between me and the TV. So I just am completely relying on Paul's descriptive abilities and his ability to focus.
She is she is turning to the side a lot, and I think that they asked her to do that.
Okay.
I think that they asked her to do that. Some things are sticking out up here. Some things are sticking out back there, and they're going in different directions. It's like a Z. It's really impressive, honestly. Doesn't seem physically possible. But you know what? I thank nature, and I thank Tom Brady above for giving us all of this.
You know what else didn't seem possible a few months ago? That Nick Caserio would have a job.
Oh, what a transition Sean made
months from now.
To get me back on track and stop me from being horny. Yeah.
Paul's just the cartoon wolf howling and banging on the table.
Oh, now there's two ladies on screen. You know what? You might have to change this. This is being done. It's being done with, I'll be honest, regret. But I don't think I'm gonna make it through the whole show.
Well, no, I'll tell you off. I'll tell you in the break.
Oh no! Am I trapped in here? Okay,
no, not.
Okay, listen, Nick Caserio. You know, speaking of things that are giving Texans fans, you know, a lot of reasons to be excited.
Things that are sticking out.
Listen, I'm trying so hard. It's not my fault. This is like at the gym. Like her dress is pink. It's like she's asking me to look at her. Oh, it's such a cute little outfit. Oh, I don't want to look. Hey, back to the Houston Texans. Someone texted in, hey man, his defense, not good this year. You got to run him out. That's from Sensei 3XS. On the text line, you have a lot of people who are also horny based off of my description of this. So to bring it back to Nick Caserio and the Texans, there is a way that Nick Caserio could easily be the best general manager in Houston sports. Got to say, low bar to clear these days, huh? Dana Brown, what has he done? He made the Justin Verlander trade. They didn't win the World Series. Seems like Jim Crane said, do it. Like he's Emperor Palpatine. And then Rafael Stone. Okay, things are looking better, but I mean, that is an outrageous amount of money to give Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. But hey, trending in the right direction for Rafael Stone. But if J.J. Watt brings this guy back, who was on the Pat McAfee show, oh my God. Nick Caserio, GM for life? What am I talking about? Take a listen to a voice that you definitely remember, because this man is a Houston hero.
You think I would go to, I mean, if you think about it, use our brains for a second here. If you're going to go somewhere, obviously you speak about Pittsburgh because my brother's there, but is there another team that's playing incredibly well right now who's got a quarterback that's crushing it, that's
I got one for
got
you.
a lot of connections? Like, I mean, use our brains.
Yeah, I got one
I
for you.
don't think.
I'm struggling actually.
No, I got one for him. No,
I can't think of
I
it.
got one for him. Right
I
there.
think D-Buck could probably use
Yeah, right down there. There'll be a guy right next to you too, who I was about to ask you about with Sheldon Rankins. 98 just had a.
There you go.
Had a J.J. Watt-ish game, 3 sacks.
On the stadium.
Yeah.
He's on the stadium.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's doing this shit again.
Turn down for what?
Yeah.
Punching himself in the face so he can bleed.
Yeah.
Do we like the Pat McAfee show?
I'll admit I've never watched it with the in entirety with the volume on. It's always on mute on one of these TVs in here.
And we have no idea what's happening. We just watch it and we're like, why does that guy have a mullet and a mustache?
Not the mullet guy. I'm
distracted
again, I've
by
never
him.
heard his voice. I
Me
just
neither.
do not like him. But from the clips, I haven't been enthused.
I gotta say, watching this interview, I liked it. Because I would love to bring Turn Down for Watt back to NRG Stadium. And if Nick Caserio somehow convinced J.J. Watt to come back, would Nick Caserio have a statue built of him? I don't know. I really don't know. But things are trending in the right direction for old Nick. Eric, the driver, Texan. I forgot the Texans made him sit through that "we almost fired you" presser. It was so awkward. It was just 30 minutes and everyone was asking him questions. And no matter how long his run-on answers were, Robo Caserio knew that he was in danger of being deactivated in that moment in time. But right now, we don't even play Robo Caserio audio because he knows everything is going according to plan and that the less he speaks, the less likely it is that people will discover about his Robo exoskeleton.
His master plan.
Yeah, the Robo Revolution 2025. Listen, as long as the Texans win a Super Bowl by then, we're good.
Do you think that the success that C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans have had this year, do you think that pushes back the robot
It
revolution?
should. He's probably thinking to himself, you know what? My legacy. I want to have a football dynasty, the last football dynasty, before the Robos take over everything. But Casario's doing a pretty good job right now. It's the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. I'm trying my best to focus on the task at hand and not focus on the Latin American weather women who are just trying to do their job. I would imagine that most people don't come away from watching television in Latin America remembering what was said about the weather or remembering what was said about the traffic, but they try. Just like you're trying. Just like I'm trying. Because I'm a professional. And I will get through this show despite the obstacles in my way. Obstacles that no one else at this station would be able to get through. No one. No one else could do this, Sean Mapes, by themselves. Oh, God, it's Nick Garcia. No person would be able to do a show by themselves in studio with that video on.
Oh, my God, Paul.
What?
I want to know who made it. Who in Latin America made it industry standard for meteorologists to look and dress
It's a great
the way
question.
they do? Like, how did that idea not only like start, but like just take hold?
It's a shame. I feel bad for some women because it is 100% objectifying them. But it's objectifying people who like being objectified because they know they look good. It's a weird dichotomy. And the people that don't like it are generally, like myself, jealous of non-talents online who have massive social media followings. I imagine a lot of women are in the same caboose, for lack of a better term.
Oh no, there's a better term than caboose. I
Ass?
know why you're thinking caboose, because you're staring at them for the entire show.
Jeanette Garcia has a big one. Okay, I'm just stating facts, and I don't know where the remote is to change it. So we're gonna have to acknowledge this, okay, guys? Yeah. Another texter, you're on another level, Paul. I'm gonna have to sit outside smoking weed while my wife does all the laundry and dishes. Wow, sounds like a pretty awesome setup, dude. But I think you should help out. I think you should help out there. Some more comments here. This is in response to our last segment. Nick Caserio, I think right now is the best general manager in town. It's not like that's a title that's hard to achieve these days.
It's like the opposite of the coach thing.
Right. The coach battle, a spot is obviously new, but with Dusty Baker when he was here, no matter what criticisms you might have, the team was very successful under his watch. D'Amico Ryans, vibes, things are trending upwards. And Ime Udoka, same thing, though it's very, very early for both of those guys. But a texter says she just took off her shirt. She just took off her shirt. What is going on?
What'd the texter say?
The texter said, Caserio sucks. If Rafael Stone gave Dylan Brooks $1 billion and pleasure beer, he still would be better. Can you imagine Dylan Brooks with $1 billion? Dylan Brooks would, I think, go full DC supervillain. Like he would be one of those characters in Batman, like a C-list villain that Batman has to take down when on the episodes where they're not focusing on the Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin, Mr. Freeze. Like he would be Dylan the villain.
He could be B-list, yeah.
He's not quite Mad Hatter either. You know, but he's
like a leader of like a group of tough guys that just like have like 2x4s.
But if he has money and pleasure beer, then that's a different story.
Yes. He has a criminal empire.
That's true.